Watching Kyle's unboxing videos again?
Yeah, he always finds the coolest... No way! A robot dog? Gotta ask where he got it.
Or use your Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra. Just draw a circle around the dog on your screen, and it shows you where to buy it right in the app.
Whoa, I just learned a new trick. And that for once, I beat Kyle to the next big thing.
Circle it, find it with the new Galaxy S24 Ultra and circle the search with Google. Get yours now at Samsung.com. Internet connection required. Results may vary based on visuals.
Hello and welcome to It's Only a Game podcast. I'm Jimmy and I'm joined this afternoon by Matt, Deck and Greg. How are we, gents?
Yeah, doing fine.
All good,
fine.
All good this end, bit of deja vu, lads, but we'll go with it.
Yeah. Little peek behind the It's Only a Game towers. We've had to restart this, but hey, we didn't need to know, that's fine. Anyway, so Deck, would you mind introducing our very special guest today, please?
Joined by the esteemed Iain Hume, fantastic domestic and international career, somewhat of a legend around the world, as well as a number of other places around the UK and around the world as well. We'll come on to that a little bit later. Iain, how are we doing?
Thanks for having me on.
Fantastic. No, absolute pleasure. We're blessed to have you. 21-year career, past 100 goal tally, represent your country and so on. What would you say your kind of highlight of your domestic career would be, like your absolute high point?
I've got a few, to be honest. Obviously making my debut, FA Cup debut at Everton, was a phenomenal day for Tranmere. For myself as well, to play against players like that at such a young age. I think it was just 18. Getting a move to Leicester City, loved it there. Obviously, there's downsides to everything. Like relegations are horrible, and I hate that. Like obviously, for not just personally, for fans, for clubs, it's disgusting. And unfortunately, I was a part of a couple of them. One with Leicester, one with Preston. Two massive clubs who should never really have been in League One, but down to us on the field, it happened. And then obviously the last one with Tranmere, which was disgusting and should never have ever happened. But we could dive into that and talk for ages. But now for me, I think the biggest one was on top of my debut. Winning League One with Doncaster was massive. And that was more of a, just on a personal thing with how I was treated at Preston. Not by the club, by the manager, to make me miss out pre-season, not do anything, then let me go out on loan, or held out till deadline day to let me go out on loan for a fee that they'd been offered at the start of pre-season, just out of spite. And then for us to go and win the same league, phenomenal. And nothing better than shoving it right up his ass because he was a dick. And I'll be perfectly honest. And the best part is, the Doncaster lads were phenomenal. Like a great, we had good players like David Cottrell, Kyle Bennett, Paul Quinn. We had a phenomenal squad. Robbie Blake, Neil Sullivan. These guys were incredible. And the best part about them wasn't their ability. It was just a group of men. And we literally, did it myself. But I think I got split open 4 times in 7 months on loan. But we literally put our lives on the line for each other, and it came back right on the deadline, on the last game. No, sorry, I can't even believe I missed out James Coppinger. But he ended up scoring that goal at Brentford. That was that right there was the best feeling in my career. I've won trophies, I've won personal accolades at clubs, but that moment, I was sitting on the bench, I just got subbed off and I was pissed off. And last game of the season, and that happened. That was the best 5 minutes of my life in football. It was mental. And for them to have a pen, their non-regular pen taker takes it, this Marcelo Trotta or whatever is, I know his last name's Trott, I can't remember his first name. But he grabbed the ball off O'Connor, who took every penalty for them. For the last 5 years, he grabbed the ball. No, I want it. And he spat his dummy out.
Yeah.
And like you've
It
got
was
their
it
whole
was it
team
was
right
Trotter,
up
Marcelo
against
Trotter,
the
wasn't it? From Centre
18-yard
Parts of
box,
Brentford, and then
and the big centre back, I think is it
yeah,
Harley Dean or Harvey Dean or Harley Dean? Yeah, but he's on the sideline, and when they got the pennies jumping around like a kangaroo, and he's all getting in people's faces, and then when he cracked it off the crossbar, and the best part is I was on the bench
yeah,
and Billy
the lad at
Painter was
Birmingham
literally
now, yeah.
at the Griffin Park. The old benches used to sit there, and they were low, and they're right by the halfway line, and Billy Painter's literally sat or squatting in front of their bench with his shirt over his head, like devastated. And when he hit the crossbar and then Paul Quinn cleared it, Paint stood up and is like there and just watching it go down. And then you see Coppinger chasing down. He just galloped down the wing, and the rest is history. But yeah, I've elaborated far too much on that. But yeah, I'm going with that as the best moments of my career domestically.
I've actually got a question from a Tranmere mate of mine. He said, I texted him about an hour ago and said, well, by the way, we've got Iain Hume on the podcast tonight. And he goes, oh, brilliant. Can you talk us through your goal against Bolton in the FA Cup?
Yes.
Wasn't bad.
I know, but I watched it back.
What a strike that was. Unreal. Unreal.
In fairness, I did it in the next round as well.
You can elaborate on this as much as you want, Ian. I'm all ears.
That was just the occasion, just to do it at. Obviously, we were expected to get beat at home by them, and we should have beat them. And then we go for the replay, and we should have beat them, and we did beat them, but we should have beat them in regular time. And then it was just mad because the kickoff was, we got the ball and I just went on a run, and lo and behold, my left foot, I'm right-footed. But is
it one of those goals that when you hit it,
you
know it's in?
Yeah, I cracked it, and I think it was Kevin Poole in goal, and I cracked it, and it's the same as the one against Swansea. As soon as I hit it, you know it's in, you know it's go, and if not, it's an incredible save.
It's a feeling with it.
But it was just the whole occasion being at Reebok, and like my mum and dad were there. That's the first time they'd seen me score, and because every time they came over, I was either injured or didn't score or got subbed off or whatever. And that one there was the first one they'd seen me score, and I just cracked it, and on a shit field. Like the Reebok back then was terrible. But again, so was Pretton Park. And by the way, to everyone listening, rest in peace, Andy Quayle. What an incredible lad, what an incredible groundsman. And I knew him for 20 years. So sorry to hear he passed away last week, and condolences to his family. But yeah, our field was shit. one thing about Quayle, loved him to death, but our pitch was always shite. we literally, and that's why we always got the ball wide and put it in the box, because that was the only grass on the field was for Ryan Taylor and Sean Connolly. Gareth Roberts and Ian Goodison just running up the wings and putting it in.
Yeah.
Ian Goodison, I loved it. This is going to sound really bad. Just turned 30 years of age. You're of that era when I was sort of teenage years, where it was cheap for us to go in to get into Tranmere. It was usually a couple of quid on a Tuesday night. There's the likes of yourself, Ian Goodison's name. I loved watching Ian Goodison play. Absolute man mountain. He's part of that squad of players that, even not as a Tranmere fan, I still love going to watch it.
We played better.
Yeah, you're right. You always track me as a player. He was always different. It's fine.
We were better to watch at Everton.
Well,
oh god, yeah, absolutely.
It was
around that. Well, yeah,
compared to Everton,
true.
Wasn't much in it after.
It was you or Rooney, mate. We weren't quite sure which one to go and watch.
Oh, United made the wrong call though.
No, I often think about that era of squad, and think, you know, if we had the likes of you and Goody and so on now, like if you could kind of amalgamate that kind of 7 or 8 years of those class players, would be flying, especially on that new pitch of ours now. Jesus Christ!
You think about the players we had, and I know the game's evolved. It's a lot more athletic. We weren't a massively athletic team, but we played decent football and we played to our strengths. So you think about it: Ryan Taylor, Paul Hall, Sean Connolly when he was there, Chief. Before that was just at the end of my time, but like Ruben Hazel was class. He was athletic. Ian Sharps, Paul Linwood, Danny Harrison, Alan Navarro, Myself, Simon Howarth, Eugene Daddy, Chrissy Greenacre, Calvin Zola, Johnny Achterberg, Joe Murphy. You think about these players. We had Russell Howarth, we had a backup keeper who was in England under 21. Like, it's mental. And you think about the teams we had, and you put that into modern day. We might not have, Jason McAteer, Mark Rankin, Mickey Mellon, can't miss them out, but you put that into context with now, and everything's so athletic, and everything's this and that. And listen, football's evolved, and it's good to watch sometimes, but every team looks the same. Every team plays similar style football, and everything's a chess match. And you're not allowed to battle the way we used to. Like, you think about some of the tackles that used to fly in. We'd have 8 red cards every week in our league. Like, not because they were dirty, just because it's the way the game's gone. Everyone,
you never get a full 90 in these days with those tackles.
No, everyone's and complaining about everything. Everyone surrounds the refs. Everyone complains to the fourth official, the linesman, to everything. After games, if you got told you're a prick by a fan, you go and complain. Piss off. Grow up. Like, seriously, it does my head in. Like, we're such a soft generation now, and I'm not saying the players. I mean everything. Everything right now is so soft, and everyone complains. There's always something to complain about. Stop. Like, you're playing a game. What you want me? Like, imagine like when we drew against Millwall in the FA Cup at the Den. We were getting death threats on the coach. Like, there was hundreds of fans outside the coach, like, slitting their throats and all that. And imagine that now.
Well, it'd be
shut down
video
for
put
2
all over
weeks.
social media, and which I think has had a big part to do with that kind of mentality these days. And yeah, you absolutely,
massively.
you know, it's got a lot of power of good, the social media, but at the same time, it for all the good it can do a lot of negativity as well. And I think,
But it's not getting used
No.
for all the good. It's getting used for, like, and I don't say this like protecting myself, but it gets used for people taking advantage of people. You go into, like, players going into a bar. Oh my God, I can't believe that guy was having a beer. Why? He's a fucking human. Like, seriously, I'm a normal bloke, and I didn't give a shit. After the game, I was in the suite for a beer. Then I was in the Clipper for a couple of beers, and then I was home. I was literally play my game, work my ass off, and maybe, hey, everyone goes, oh yeah, that'll be why you carried weight. I carried weight because I carried weight. End of. I ate well. I was in digs, but I went for a bloody drink. I enjoyed it after the game.
And you still got through a Les Parry pre-season every year, Ian, so you couldn't have been that unfit.
I also played 600 games.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
Like,
proof of the
if I
pudding,
played
innit?
200 games and I was always injured, then I understand. But they forget that we're very privileged, and I love, and I'm so grateful for the career I had and the life I've had. But I'm still human, and I still have my traits of a normal man. I want to go out and have a drink. I want to go out and have a meal. I want to go out and go to a party. I want to go to a club. I spend time with my family. I do all that. I don't need you videotaping me and, oh my God, did you see this? Piss off. Like, seriously.
No. It does annoy me that whenever you see...
The worst is all these social media. And the one thing I say about social media, I love it because it keeps me in contact with a lot of people that I may never speak to. But everyone should be accountable for what they have. Like, if you have a Twitter account or an Instagram account or Facebook, you should be accountable for with yourself, with your ID, whether it be your passport, your driver's, a government ID. So you have one, and then anything happens, it comes back on you. Now you have fucking people with 18 different accounts, and they're all spam accounts, but they go around and they slander people and they abuse people, and it, like, all this racial abuse would be gone. Or not, sorry, that's wrong. It wouldn't be gone, but it would be calmed down a hell of a lot if everyone was accountable for an account.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've always said with social media, it gives everyone a voice, which is equally good and equally bad. Because some people, I'm not saying people don't deserve a voice, but some people's voices don't need to be heard as much as other people's.
Precisely. But yeah, sorry, I went over on that. But.
Yeah. No. It does fire me up when you see, like, you know, oh, how is this person out with their family on a Sunday, or how is this player going for a drink? We lost at the weekend. Well, yeah, the players, obviously, the result affects you, but you can't be expected to sit in your house and just stew over it until the next game. You've got to have a life at the end of the day. You know, whenever we have a bad day at work, we can't just sit in our room and stew over it, and, you know, whatever we still get on with your life and try and get past it. It's a coping way. And So how can we expect footballers to not be human? It's ridiculous. But, and yet people, as you say, it's about accountability. They hold footballers to a higher level of accountability than we do our politicians, for example. But that's a different conversation altogether.
How long have we got?
And we could be here for a very long time on that one.
I love nothing more.
And we're back onto politics.
We always get onto
like
politics.
I said, when I was at Tranmere, even the second time there, I loved nothing more. I wasn't playing much. Whatever, Mickey Adams, whatever. I'm not letting that dampen my feeling for the club, because I was at Wembley watching the club. I was at the 2 Wembley finals, never lost. So I'm whatever. So every time I was there, I was at, like when I came back from India and all that in Spain, I was at Wembley with the fans. But I loved nothing more after the game. Going for a quick beer, getting a Chinese takeaway, and then maybe have a night out. But that's after win, lose or draw. Not because I'm celebrating, because I'm having my weekend.
Yeah.
If me and my wife wanted to go out for a meal and have a couple of drinks, it's not celebration. It's just me being Ian. You know what I mean? And it's the generation we're in right now it's extremely, how to be PC with this, it's extremely soft.
Judgmental.
There you go. That's a good word.
Yeah.
A couple other words I could say, but I think I'd get a lot of backlash.
And it's
Yeah.
No, but you're absolutely right, Ian. And as you're saying, there's
not on.
certain things that everyone deserves to be and is entitled to be protected by 100% on and off the field. But I agree that, as you were saying earlier on the field, I think things have gone a little bit too far the other way. Not in terms of the big issues, 100% they don't belong in the game, but it's constant and it's creeping down to our level now. I used to wind my mates up. We were all Premiership club fans and whatnot, and I'd say, right, come to Tranmere and watch a proper game, and get involved, and the players here, and they'll live a bit back. I always remember like Kevin Ellison. My dad stood up one day and gave him a mouthful, and Kevin Ellison just turned around and slapped his head back to my dad and was pointing at him as if to say, like, we're twins and all that, and that kind of like, banter and stuff isn't there now. There's just not those characters. We saw a lot of it when we went non-league, and like Ian Norwoods and Andy Cooks and so on, who real characters, and I think that brought a bit of a fresh breath of air back into the club. And as you say, like the judgmental side of the fans and stuff kind of went a little bit. But it is all these clubs now that they are 100% professional all of the time. Doesn't matter whether you're playing Conference North or Premiership, you're in the public eye, and it's not good for the players. It's also not good for the fans. You turn up, you see the players play, they represent your club.
It's changed a lot. I don't particularly like it, to an extent. Obviously, still love football and love watching football, and I'll watch it. I'll probably go downstairs and turn on my TV, and if there's a game on, I'll sit and watch it. Doesn't matter what it is. So I'm not going to change that stance on it, but there's certain parts of it it's gone extremely soft and it tickles me with some of these tackles. Oh, he was VAR sent him off. You were never in control of your tackle, or you went in with your studs up. How the flaming hell do you slide without your studs up? How do you think people break their legs? Because they slide and the studs get caught in the ground? If that's the case, make every game on turf, everywhere around the world, and everyone has to wear flats. If they want to stop people tackling, because you can't slide tackle, you went in without concern of the other player. No, I fucking didn't. I wanted to win the ball.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go through your knees, but I'm going to slide through the ball and do everything I can to win it. And again, this one goes on forever.
Yeah, 100%. And that from watching you over the years, Ian, you gave 100% of every tackle, header, every 50-50. You didn't care. You were going up against 6'4" centre back or a winger or whatever. The ball was there to be won.
Okay, it's 50-50s.
At the same time, when you came off worse on the other side, you weren't the player in the ref's face moaning about it. You know what I mean?
To be honest, I'm doing it in my job. Like, and I listen, I never treated it as a job. When I did, that's when I stopped. Because it's not a job for me. It was my love, and I'm sorry, but if I'm wanting to be successful in what I was doing everything and I was doing everything I could to make sure I won it. But I know you might get some comments from guys who played with me in the youth team. I was a bit of a fanny. I'm not gonna lie, but I learned my trade. I learned my trade. I got the shit kicked out of me lots of times, and I learned my trade. I learned how to grow up. I learned as soon as I came into the first team and into the reserves. I learned that I had to play harder, and I definitely wasn't that when I first came. I was just a whippet when I came over. I was fast. I was decent striker of the ball, good crosser of the ball, but I was skinny and scared of my own shadow. So I grew into it. I learned how to grow up and turn into a man. And thank you to all the boys that I played with who still wind me up to this day. But it's still a matter of I learned it and I grew into it. A lot of players, they expect to be wrapped in cotton wool by referees and everything. And I think that's even worse at the top stage because you got so many cameras on you and you see people cheating all the time and it drives me nuts. But yeah.
Well, that's it. You hear about, we had the right to go down and things like that, and that kind of phrase annoys me because it's like, who has the right to go down? It's either a tackle or it's it's a foul or it's not. And obviously we've seen, in another interview this week with a footballer, the level of entitlement that can be had because that person's not,
I'll say this on air. I don't give a shit. I don't care how good he is, and he's the best player, possibly to a lot of players, the best player the world's ever seen. But that is
wrong.
He needs to put his shit back in the pram. He's spat it out big time, and it's so disrespectful. And listen, I'm not a United fan. I don't care. I'm not a Real Madrid fan. I don't care. The way and to go with that vile human being to do an interview like that, I think it's bang out of order, and it's not fair to his fans as a player and as an idol. It's not fair to Man United fans. It's not fair to anybody who works or plays at Man United, and to hear people saying he's entitled to his view. Why? Not when you're contracted, because you're trying to get sacked. And the thing is, if it was me, and I don't care if I get backlash off, if it was me, I'd make him sit, make him wait out another 6 months of his career, until he's a bit older after the World Cup. Sorry, buddy, unless you're getting every cent of his contract paid up, I wouldn't sack him.
The issue he's got there is he's also shot himself in the foot because no club is going to want him. Under what pretense? Unless you make your own club and you become the owner, who's going to want it?
Well, the money he's got, he could form his own club.
What other respectable club in Europe, around the world, etc., is going to want someone who, at the flip of a switch, decides, this isn't for me, and goes and Piers Morgan of all people. That's a podcast in itself. But it's tonight, isn't it? It goes out today, I should say, or the first half. It comes out. I've got no interest in it.
I actually do, because I want to give myself more reason to agree that Messi's the best ever. But the thing is, I don't say this because I don't respect him for what he's done in the game, because you can't even question it, and he is an absolute.
He's phenomenal
footballer. But this is wrong. He's got 75 million people follow him on social media, and they'll all see this, and because they're so starstruck and they're so driven into being his fan, that they'll think it's right, and it's not. Like, I was, funny enough, just before I came on here, I was on DAZN. Well, I think it was DAZN. I was on my TV downstairs, and there was a thing about Premier League legends, and it was when United had just won or just clinched their first Premier League title, and Schmeichel was getting sacked by Fergie because he had a shouting match with him in the change room, and Fergie pulled him in on the Monday and told him, "You're fired. Like, as soon as I can get you out, you're gone." And this is the best keeper in the world at the time. Imagine if this came out when Fergie was in charge. Beckham got a boot in the head.
It never would have done. It never would have come out. He was so in control of what happened. He would have known it was going on anyway.
But that's
stopped it before it even got started.
Yeah.
No, Fergie.
No. But that's it. Sorry, I don't want to go too deep into this, but for what he did on a footballing side of things, it's so wrong on so many levels, and I hope everyone notices it, because you do have your Ronaldo tinted glasses on when you're a massive fan of him, but I just think he's gone so over the line. I just hope they make him pay for it. I hope they make him sit.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Hmm.
No, of course. No, I mean you'll know Ian from, like, obviously you played under many managers. Some you got on with, some you didn't. Some who played, just some who didn't. You know, but you have to respect at the time the decisions of the manager, whether you agree with them or not, whether you like them or not. And quite clear. There's a few that you've not liked in the past. We can go on to that if you wish. But at the same time, you didn't kick up a fuss at the time because it's for the respect of the club and for the teammates and the atmosphere around you to try and keep the
Oh,
peace until
Tranmere Rovers, my last
a time
time.
when
Like
you
I
can,
came
like
back,
now, where you could vent.
love of the club, and that was the only reason. Like, don't get me wrong, the only reason I came back because I loved it, and I wanted to.
Absolutely.
If it was going to be my last time in England, I wanted it to be there. And then we played like a shower of shit at York, and I was the only one who got pulled aside for it. And I got.
Ian, you've literally just pulled that from my mind, as I was going to say York away was my memory of, like, obviously it was just after you'd come back, but you were head and shoulders above anyone else on the pitch. You got pulled, and the rest of the team were basically backed and whatever. And hand on heart, that was the worst performance I think I've in 22 years or so of watching. That was the worst performance, hands down. And you were just hung
Well,
out
I,
to
I
dry
went into the change
after
room
that
after the
performance.
game,
You know,
and first thing I said when everyone walked through was, "Sorry, lads, that was the worst I've played in a long time." And I'm my biggest critic. I don't need somebody else. Okay, my manager and whatever, but to come in on the Monday, and I was, "Oh, you're right. I didn't want to fucking sign you. Blah blah blah. You're with the kids now, or I don't want you around my team. You can go get changed in the match day change rooms." So I was exiled to the match day change rooms, and I ended up coming back over, and I spoke to Sean Garnett and said, "Listen, said it's up to you whether you say yes or no, but do you mind if I train with the youth team?" So I went train with the youth team. 2 months. Trained with the youth team every morning. Came down, not a problem. Another loan signing, another 5 loan signings, another month signing, another this came in. Didn't work, did it? So it was obviously my fault. But yeah, trained with them, played some resi games, banged some goals for resis, and next thing I know, well, you've got to get him back in, and by then he ran away with his tail between his legs because we were close to relegation. So, oh yeah,
literally out
he's
the
a
back door.
square-headed shitbag.
Yeah.
But no, seriously, he's
Yeah,
hard as nails.
literally. Yeah.
Nobody's hard. He's hard as nails, and then calls me in to tell me that he was getting rid of me, and he goes, "I've got Alan Rodgers in here just in case anything happens." I'm like, "What the fuck's gonna happen?"
Beat the shit out of you.
Like you're my gaffer. Like I'm not. Like, do you think I'm gonna run in and go over the table?
Yeah.
But then the worst part is, so when I'd done so well for the reserves and that, and trained every day with Garno and the kids, I come back in. He goes, "You proved me wrong." I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "I thought when I did this, you were gonna just spit your dummy out and be a little see you next Tuesday." And I'm like, obviously you don't know who I am and what I'm about then. Like I just come in and work. I'm not special. I never once said that. I'm not some superhuman fucking person. But I've always put my heart and soul on the line for everything. And whether you like me or not, I'll still do the same thing. I won't go out and play shit just to spite you. And oh well, I'm gonna have to bring you back in. He brings me back in, puts me fucking right wing. Like puts me left wing. I'm like, oh awesome. So you're trying to get the best out of me, like. And then it just didn't matter. Like I knew he was getting ready to go, and then he ended up disappearing, and we unfortunately went down, and I regret that. And I think the best part was I keep thinking I probably shouldn't have come back to Tranmere, and it was my heart over my head, and it's not because I didn't want to play for the club again. It just wasn't a right place for me in the way the club was going at the time with that leadership. Not the Palioses. They've done well, and they spoke to me the right way, and they didn't understand things that had been told to me.
Yeah.
They were led to believe that it was all me that was making it all happen, and it was kind of funny when I spoke to Mark after the season and explained to him what had gone on with the manager. He didn't know that had happened. So, but the thing is, I came back because I thought it was the right thing, and it ended up not being that, and I regret that, and I hope, and I know there's some fans will be a little bit fickle because they didn't know me before. But I hope there's not a lot of bad feeling between some of the newer generation of fans and the fact that I came back and I was shit, to be honest. But it's mad because I come off one of the best seasons of my career. And I know people say, oh yeah, you were playing in India, but I played every minute of every game in 40-degree heat and felt fit as a fiddle. But, well, lots of regrets. Not regrets, but lots of little mistakes that I made over the years, and I look back on them now that I've got so much time, and I see that I could have done things differently.
Moving away from your Tranmere career, obviously you then went back over to India. I mean, some of the names that you played with over there were very, very impressive. What did you make of it out there then, in terms of standard, infrastructure, fans, etc.?
And how did it come about?
It's mad how it came about. I'd literally Leicester just been promoted to the Prem, and there was a guy doing, I guess, Andy May. He was doing a freelance bit for Sky Sports and Leicester City, but he was doing it with TSN in Canada. So they're like, well, why not speak to a Canadian who played for Leicester? And so we just got in touch, and he actually came out and he came to the Wirral, and we were out in New Brighton. I think it was New Brighton or Hoylake. We were out at the beach and just did a piece on the prom, and ended up chatting afterwards. And he's like, have you heard about this? He goes, I got offered to go out and do some media out there, and I can't because I've just agreed for, I think he agreed for BT for the following year. And we were just talking about Leicester City, and he just gave me this guy's number. So I went home, spoke to the wife, said, what do you think? Said, they might not want me. Like, who knows? Because they've got all these names coming in, they might not want me. So I gave the number to my agent, found out, and they're like, fuck yeah. Like, no Canadians here, so we'd love to have you out. And it wasn't for money. And the first year especially was bang average. Probably would have made as much back home. But I was 30 years old, and I was having to call around. Like, 30 years old and played like about 500 games, and I'm having to chase around for the trial. I'm like, fuck that. Can't be asked. Like, I just didn't have it. And it was becoming a business. It was becoming a very political, trying to get in places. Oh, well. And then everyone looked at me and they're like, oh, well, how are you after your head? Well, 250 games later, I'm all right. Like, so I just got fed up with the UK as far as football went, and I just got this opportunity. So I thought, you know what? I said to my wife, it's only 3 months. So I literally went out there at the end of August. I was back by Christmas. And I'm like, yeah, fuck it, let's go. And it literally went into a draft. So, like, all your domestic players were in a draft. They got drafted to their teams. And then all your foreign players went into a draft, and they were drafted to their teams. And obviously you had your marquee players who were obviously not on a salary cap or whatever. So they would go to whoever wanted to pay them the most. Like, Del Piero went to Delhi, and Alano went to Chennai with Materazzi, and you had Pires at Goa, you had Capdevilla at Northeast. Who else was there? Trezeguet at FC Pune. You had Luis Garcia at Calcutta, and we had David James at Kerala. But it was weird because David James was our coach as well, and I went over there, and he essentially brought in all foreign players who were British, which for me, I'm going 15 hours away and playing with British players who I knew. So I'd played against Stephen Pearson before. I'd played with Jamie McAllister at Preston for a bit. I played against Michael Chopra. I played against David James. So these guys, like, it kind of felt right. I went out there and we hit the ground running. We were expected to be the worst team in the league, and we ended up making the final and losing in the 95th minute. And statistically, I didn't have a fantastic year. I scored 5 and I think I assisted 3 or 4. But I got player of the year because I did what I do. I go out there and I work my ass off, and I bought into the culture. I bought into the Indian players and speaking to them and not taking them under my wing, but giving them some of the experience I've gained. And it went down well with the league. The production out there is always behind me, and it's all British. It's Russell Osman, John Helm, Paul Macefield, like all these guys who they've been in the game for years, and they respected what I was doing, and in turn the league and everybody did, and it was a good first year, and then the next 4 years went really well, and I just loved it out there. Listen, I don't eat curries. I don't eat all. I'm not one of those guys who goes out and eats an Indian takeaway every night. But you were treated well out there. You were in 5-star hotels. You were looked after well. The investment, like I don't know if you've seen the company or the guy who was rumored to be looking to buy Liverpool, the Ambani guy. It was kind of, well, his family founded and pretty much funded the Indian Super League. So they put a lot of money into it, and it's for the love of the game, which is amazing. And the infrastructures there are growing year to year. Like they're in year 7 now, I believe, or year 8. And they're putting crap loads of money into their academies and into like international academies, and they're getting involved with affiliations with clubs, and like Mumbai City just been affiliated with Man City, with the City Group. There's a couple others out there, and it's the way forward, and they're doing so well with it. And the standards gotten better and better. The national team's gotten better and better. I think they got up to 70th in the world at one point from 120. So their aim is to help get India into a World Cup soon. And for me, it was something that was so left field, and I didn't know what it was about, and I just wanted an adventure. And it ended up being 5 of the most enjoyable years of my career. So kind of worked out.
Am I right in thinking as well you won
Steady on,
player of the
Jimmy.
season while you were over there 1 year? Now, can you just clarify what's meant? Clarify what's meant by that. Just
like men's health, like fitness, as in fucking walking in like that. I've never been like that, but no, it was actually ironic, and it was hilarious for me because I played with Kerala Blasters the first season, won Player of the Year, nearly won the league or the tournament. The next year, I was back. When I came back to Tranmere, I was sitting in the gym, like, I think it was round about March, April. So I was at Total Fitness in Prenton, doing my thing because I was already exiled. So I was training every day with Garno and the kids, going up there and doing a session. So I'd go home, have lunch, whatever, go up there, do a couple-hour session, and genuinely just try to get myself fitter just because I didn't want the scrutiny from that little tit. So I did that, and I was constantly back and forth with the club back in India. Like, listen, I don't think things are working out here. Thinking I want to come back next year. What do you think? Oh, 100%, we want you. And they had to finalize by May 1st whether they were keeping a player or not. And then you're open to the public, essentially. So we sat there for ages, and we gone over for weeks, and we'd come up with a contract. I was going to sign a 1 or 2 year deal on decent money, not fantastic, but it was more than enough that I needed. And then they hired Peter Taylor, and we know his track record, apart from when he's at Hull and able to buy half of the league. Yeah, he's like, oh, I don't I don't think Ian's fit enough. I don't want to spend that money on him. So I'm going to bring in 2 or 3 other players on his money. And yeah, that turned out well because I went to Calcutta, the team that beat us in the final. I went to Atletico de Calcutta. So we were a affiliate with Atletico Madrid. And perfect for me. I went there and I spent a month and a half in Madrid for my pre-season. I was back home every weekend. So when we had 2 days off, I'd jump on an EasyJet flight, 35 quid, straight into Liverpool, see my family, go back out on the Monday morning at 6 o'clock. I'd be there in time for training. And the coach was fine with it. Did all that, played the whole season. I played every minute bar 7 in 17 games, 16 games in the space of 3.5 months. And yeah, won fittest player of the year because evidently I wasn't fit enough, according to Peter Taylor, because his mastermind Premier League head. But saying that, he got fired. So he was the first ever sacking in the Indian Super League, which was comical.
I guess you could say it was fitting.
Yeah,
Hey.
fit like a glove. But the thing is, he brought in a bunch of players, and I feel bad because like Peter Ramage was out there. Did incredible out there, captained the team, brought him out to Kerala, brought in Stephen Bywater, brought in Sanchez Watt, Antonio German. I don't know if Antonio was there that year actually, but Chrissy Dagnall. So Chrissy Dagnall went out there. So he replaced me with all those. And do you remember Marcus Williams played left back for Reading and Scunthorpe and that? But yeah, I brought them all out there and half of them got injured. So it was kind of ironic that he was worried about my fitness and I played every bloody minute and finished second in the goals, team of the year, should have got the final. And yeah, he was gone by, I think, November. So it worked out well. And I felt bad for Peter Ramage and Chrissy Dagnall because they worked their stones off out there, but the others just didn't. And they rested on the massive fan base that Kerala has. Like, it's insane. The Kerala fans are mental. If you follow their social media, check up on their game the other day, it's bedlam. It's amazing.
What kind of crowds are they pulling in?
So, no, they were getting 60-odd thousand every game, and
it's
all
growing,
wearing
isn't it?
yellow
Wow.
and just mental, and it's phenomenal.
Oh,
and to be honest, yeah, but again, it's always going to be second sport to cricket, like similar to Canada with hockey.
I was going to say, if it gets anywhere near the level of cricket gets to, it's going to be huge because the cricket over there is it's a religion.
But no, it was phenomenal to be out there and to do that. And then I moved to Calcutta, and Calcutta, they're the hub, the original hub. So if you look it up, East Bengal Mohun Bagan, it's one of the oldest and most fierce rivalries in world football. And now they've both come into the ISL, and yeah, it's the same thing. So the team I played for is now joined with Mohun Bagan. So it's ATK Mohun Bagan. They're trying to get rid of ATK. They're very touchy over that. I don't know Mohun Bagan. I never played for them. I played for ATK. East Bengal's in the league as well, and it's growing. It's getting better. The quality's getting better. They've stopped bringing in as many big name players because financially it was costing them a crap load for what was getting brought on the field. Like bringing in the likes of Forlan, Freddie Lundberg played about 60 minutes in a season. Nicholas Anelka, phenomenal by the way. The guy's a joke. When he wanted to, you couldn't get near him. He's 6'3", like big build, relatively big, but looks really skinny in the Prem, but he's huge. And these guys, it was like playing a game of FIFA. Like I played one game. We were playing, and there was on one field against Chennai, there was Elano, Mikel Silvestre, Bernard Mendy,
My word.
Alessandro Nesta,
Gosh.
Marco Materazzi.
That's mental.
In one team. Like, how's this fucking right?
It's a 5-star team,
That
isn't
is a FIFA team. Gosh.
But for me, like, Nesta's one of the best top 5 centre backs ever.
Absolutely.
And then you've got Alano, who was only 33, 34 at the time. And, like, Bernard Mendy was a beast. What a guy. Me and him kicked lumps out of each other I think we played 4 times that year. And we kicked the shit out of each other. But it was fun. But it wasn't dirty. So it was like he'd muscle me one time and then I'd get the better of him one time and I'd help him up or what. And it was just fun. And he's the type of person. But then you got Materazzi, was just a dirtbag. All he did was kick people. So we played them in the semi-finals. They knocked us out. We played them in the semi-finals. And they just said, like, kick the shit out of the players. Like, it's going to be a tough game. So the first season when I was at Kerala, that was him. He was the head coach and player, and we beat them 3-0 in the first leg. And they literally said their team talk was kick them off the fucking park. And it's like it shows respect at least.
Just fair, doesn't it?
Yeah, but just like playing against some of those players, like I've got Lucio, another one, and for me, and one of the top 5 centre backs of my generation, anyways. And then you got John Arisa, you got played against Adrian Mutu, Momo Sissoko.
Robbie Keane was there? Was that a bit later?
Simao Sabrosa.
Because he went out to 80k, didn't he? Oh, right.
That's the year I did my knee. Yeah, that was the year I did my knee. Because Ryan Taylor went out as well. So Ryan Taylor was there, same time as him. Robbie Keane, David Cottrell. They were all at 80k together. I'd moved back to Kerala then. So it was just after we'd won the league. I went back to Kerala, and that's when I did my ACL. So never played against them, but it's a mad one because I was injured, so we travelled over, and the team goes like 3 hours before the game because traffic and whatever. And me and a couple of the other guys who weren't in the squad, I'm not going to name names, but also some of the staff and people who worked behind the scenes, and we're like, we're not going to go now. Like, I'm not allowed in the change room, so I'm not going to go over. And we ended up sitting at the bar in the hotel until about an hour before the game. Got up to the game, and lo and behold, when I get there, they were presenting me with the player of the week from the week before.
Hello.
I'm holding the thing like this. If you search on my social medias a couple of years back, and you'll just see me like this. I'm just trying to keep my eyes open and make sure I'm not. But it's funny because I played that year. I was playing with Wes Brown and Dimitar Berbatov. Yeah, it's not as wow as you think it is. Trust me. Wes Brown was fucking amazing. One of the nicest lads I've met in football, and he's one of the most decorated in Britain. But the other side, not so much. So I just on my ACL, so I was in a brace and walking around, and we're sitting in the bar. Ended up showing up at the game. We got there like 2 minutes before the kickoff because traffic in India's mental, even with an escort. So by the time we got there and everything, 3 seats to win, didn't know where we were going. And it was fucking awesome. But the thing is, I was meant to be a player. But no, it is what it is, and I'm like, listen, I'm not involved. I'm not in the bench. I'm not in the change room. I'm not on the bench. I'm not allowed. So, okay, whatever.
Sounds like a typical away game for a Tranmere fan, that, Ian. It's some career that you've had, Ian, and we're absolutely made up that you've come on today. If it's all right with you, could we finish off with a bit of a quick fire round? Some are football related, some not so much. First one, favourite boots of all time?
Mercurial Vapors. I can't pinpoint any individual ones, but up until the last couple of years, the Mercurial Vapors were the best. As soon as I started putting socks on them and changing the material, they went to shit.
Yeah, I was never quick enough to pull a pair of them off. I have to say, I was. Well, I'm the lack
I don't
of
think speed was your
ability
issue
as
for the
well.
Vapors.
Well, did you?
Yeah, lack of everything. Eyesight.
Come out?
Someone had to turn me to the right goal some days.
Did you come out to the charity match between the Legends and Widow Radio at Heswell a couple of years ago? I was on fucking flames.
Yeah.
Seriously, I was. That was when they first changed the mercurial boots to the new material, and I didn't really like them, but still banged a hat trick. It was fucking class.
Can't have been that bad then. Second one then. Any pre-match superstitions or any like habits before the game?
Very, very superstitious with my prep for games and everything. Game day, left foot has to go in everything first, whether it's socks, boxers, pants, shoes. I trim my toenails before every game. Doesn't matter if I've trimmed them 2 days before, then I file down my toes. I tend to wear the same undersocks, boxies, or sloggies, or whatever it is. Last out to change them all the time. Becomes an issue when there's a lot of people now have that in their game. But it's little things like that. I've done it my whole career, so I'm not going to change it. And even now, still playing for my local team. Even though I'm gaffer, I still have to do my toenails and left foot, everything. Even if I'm not on the bench, I have to do it. It's just I'm a creature habit.
I did that before the podcast, me.
Jimmy does that to go and watch the match.
I can vouch for that.
Where you and another player are about to be the last out of the changing room. Have you have to sort of walk out together at the same time, or how's that?
Me and Atiba Hutchinson with Canada.
Right.
We've been best friends for so long. We've known each other since we were 7. But we've both got the same superstition. So what we'll do is, if we're both starting, one will get one half, one will get the other, or we walk out together, and it's weird. But it's one of those, and the best part is when you're seniority at clubs, and they're like, "Oh, I need to be out last." No, you fucking don't. You know what you can do? You can be out second last, and I'll be right behind you. It's just one of those. It's something I've always had in myself, and the only one I let away with it is Atiba Hutchinson.
Right, next one. Biggest name in your phone contacts?
Oh, shit. Probably Wes Brown.
Yeah.
I just...
Class.
Yeah, I don't have any others.
Class, Premier League.
Yeah, I don't have any others. Not many former Manc players I've got on my phone.
Let me see, what else have I got down here? Right, if you didn't make it as a professional footballer and you could be a professional at any other sport, what do you think you would have had a good crack at?
Fucking hell. I wouldn't have been professional at it, but I probably would have pursued basketball. I played basketball a lot when I was younger. Hence my athleticism with my jumps when I was younger. Obviously, I stopped growing, so I was no longer a threat. But no, I
feel you there.
Fucking have to jump to open up fucking doors now.
At least you can open.
Jimmy's been stuck in that room for 28 years. He's looking well though.
I'm like T-Rex arms, mate.
The only other game I would have...
He's been in there since lockdown, hasn't he?
If I was younger and started playing, I might have tried hockey, but when it was football and basketball, that was it. In school, I did everything else. I did volleyball, baseball, track and field, all that, but it would have been basketball. Basketball I played every minute, every day when I wasn't playing footy.
Class. And last one then. The best, well, to be fair, I think you answered this earlier on, but the best player to ever play in your position, by yourself, obviously.
God. The best player to ever... No, I didn't answer it earlier. The best player to play centre forward is not Messi. The best player, number 9, ever, and this is up for debate, but I'll tell you you're wrong, is Ronaldo. The Ronaldo,
I'd agree with
the best number 9 the world has ever seen.
Oh, 9.
Oh yeah.
He got
100%.
phenom.
I agree. I agree with that.
Frightening Ronaldo.
If he didn't do his knees at such a young age,
It's phenomenal.
who knows? But
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
hey, listen, we've got Erling Haaland's going to go and try and break everybody's records. You got Ronaldo, was incredible at Real Madrid and Man United. Messi's been incredible. Neymar's been incredible. But for me, Ronaldinho was incredible. But for me, the Ronaldo was fucking...
Yeah.
Well, there's a reason players called him the phenom.
Something else, wasn't he?
He's phenomenal.
Really
the guy is a fucking disgrace.
Yeah.
Left foot, right foot, strong, good in the air, could move. He was an absolute beast.
Is it a hat trick at Man U?
Yep,
a hat trick at Man U?
Yep. I was gutted when I did
Real
that.
Madrid. Yeah, he got Madrid hat trick, didn't he?
United clapped him off.
Yeah.
Not many players.
I think they clapped him off, didn't they? As well,
clap off DVG the other year, did they?
Yeah.
A bit of a stretch.
The guy was a joke. He was so good to watch, and I'm gutted I haven't watched his documentary yet, El Presidente. I want to watch that. He's at Valladolid, and he's very good friends, and you'll see the guys in a lot of the pictures with him. He has like a goatee, and that I played with him in India. Borja Fernandez. He was in Galacticos with him, so he was a young kid coming through the Galacticos, and some of the stories he told me about this guy, incredible. And I know they're not going to be on the documentary. It's
18 if it was.
This time,
for him to do what he did all the time until his injuries, obviously came back to bite him, but he lived his life. And you have the same with Ronaldinho. You had the same with, do you remember Adriano? You had the same.
Yes.
So, like, that's it. Like, these guys did that. They lived their life, but had fun doing it. And it comes back to bite some of them it doesn't. Cool.
I've got one final question, if you don't mind. Quick fire one. The answer might be the same for both of them. Your predictions: who's going to win the World Cup, and how well are Canada going to do?
I'd love to say Canada's going to win it, but I'm not stupid. I'd love them to, and I wish they would, but I'm not going to put that on them. It's really a tough one, this World Cup. I think France are going to be up there again. Belgium, if they get past Canada, could be good. Why are you laughing? No, Belgium will be up there. Depends if Lukaku shows up and gets fit, and if Lukaku's on form, it's a problem for everybody because the players he's got behind him.
Yeah. De Bruyne, especially.
Well, you De Bruyne, Haaland, what's his face? Hazard. He's not shit either. No, I'm trying to think. I think I'd love to see, if not Canada, I'd love to see Argentina win it. Just because I know it's going to be Messi's last swan song. Brazil's going to be up there again. Germany could surprise people. I know
it's a real tough one to call, this one, isn't it? It's a really tough one.
This is up there with one of the hardest ones to call for me. England going to be England, and they're going to scrape through and do well and then bottle it. But I'd love them to win it. No, I genuinely love them to win it because I spent most of my life there. My wife and kids are English. My wife's family's all there. So I've got as much allegiance to England as I have anybody, to be honest. People grumble because I say that, but I'd love them to do well. As long as they find a new fucking song if they do it. Genuinely, please. Like I've got a lad in my team here, and fucking it's coming home and all that shit. Stop it. But again,
Yeah, it doesn't really work when the women won the Euros back in the summer as well. It's a bit like, but technically he had to come home because that's the whole point of the song.
That was the whole thing.
But we're going to roll it out again for
Casper
the World Cup.
Casper Schmeichel saying, "What do you mean it's coming home? You've never won the Euros." Like, fucking.
That was quite clever.
It's going to be a very hard one to call. As far as Canada, I say this to a lot of people, and seriously, and if we're 100% fit, anyone can beat anybody. And if our top players play to their best, and Belgium or Croatia or Morocco have a bad day, I genuinely think we'll get points. I think if we've never scored in the World Cup, so first and foremost, I want us to score a goal. Which means we've never had a point in the World Cup, which I'd love us to get a point. That's where it's just building blocks, and if we get a point, who's to say we can't get 3? Who's to say we can't get 4? Who's 6? Whatever. It's going to be tough. You're in the World Cup. It's called the World Cup for a reason. You're against the best teams in the world. So Canada being there, first and foremost, is the best part. And I'm going to, even next week, if they go and touch wood, they don't get humped, I'm still going to be wearing my Canada kit. I'm still going to be having a beer with my Canada kit on and my shirt and my jacket and all that. I don't care, because I'm celebrating our country achieving something special. But I genuinely think we're going to surprise a couple people, and I'm not saying we're going to go out and be a Mexico and go and beat top teams. We can do it. I'm not going to say we're going to, but I think we'll surprise some people with our performances. We have to keep everyone fit, though.
No, I genuinely, I genuinely think you'll make it out the groups. I think you've got enough pace in the attack and to play on the counter to beat some of the more quote-unquote established teams who might be a little bit more aging in the defence now. Cough Belgium, cough. So I do genuinely think, I'm not just saying that because you're on, I do think the likes of you and Croatia will come off that group. But then that could be a prediction that stitches me up when Belgium go and win the bloody lot. So I'm known for making shit predictions all the time. I know it's Arian, come on, I don't know.
Roberto Martinez.
But that's the thing. Like I genuinely think this World Cup is going to be the hardest one to call. I think, like I said before, I think the game has developed that much that every team's developing the same bloody way, and it is like watching chess games. Like, you see what Hungary was doing in the Nations League. Like, come on. But that's it. They weren't special, but they were. It's like what Iceland did the other year. Like, it's happening a lot, and these teams are understanding how to break down systems and stop systems from being effective. And Canada did the same thing through qualifying. We outplayed the teams that outplay everybody. So that's what I mean. Going into this, fingers bloody crossed. I hope we do. I hope we do something. I hope we surprise the world a little bit. I'm not asking for the World Cup to come home with them, but I hope we surprise and put our names on the map fully.
Well, I think you got 4 lads here who are going to back Canada as a second team, because let's face it, it's not the bloody Welsh, is it?
As long as they don't win it.
They are not winning it.
We can't have happy Wrexham fans. We can't have that.
They've got the documentary.
Absolutely not.
No chance.
That's it. What more do they want?
Yeah,
exactly.
No. They made their choice.
They've had their lot now. Well, Iain, on everyone's behalf, I think, first of all, a massive thanks for giving up your time. I know there's been a couple of technical issues and we've kept you chatting for a whole hour longer than we said. But thank you very, very much for coming on. And if we've not put you off, then hopefully at some point in the future we can get you back on and dig into some of those stories a little bit further.
Issues. I'm up in my bedroom and I've got a signal booster, so that probably is the problem. But I'll make sure I'm not up here next time.
Oh no, it's fine.
It's been an absolute pleasure
being that nice basement.
Yeah, sounds good. Keep in touch, lads, all right?
Thank you very much, Iain, and we'll speak to you again soon.
Thank you very much, Iain. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Iain.
you.
Thank you.
Take care, mate. Bye.
Podcast Network.